Hello, welcome to this session on how to increase availability and ROI with fully managed AWS databases. My name is Rich Hua, and I'm a Principal Worldwide Go-to-Market Specialist for Aurora and RDS, and I'm joined by Richie Jones, Global Head of Enterprise Product and Engineering at Dun & Bradstreet. So for our agenda today, we'll be talking about a few things. First is why move to managed database services. Second is an overview of AWS managed database services. And then we'll talk about migrating with AWS database migration service. And then we'll have a great success story from Dun & Bradstreet. Finally, we'll talk about how to get started with your migration. So self-managing databases, as you already know, is time-consuming, complex, and expensive. For customers running legacy database and analytics infrastructure on premises or self-managed in the cloud, provisioning and operating and scaling and managing them is pretty tedious. It's a time-consuming and expensive set of tasks. They have to worry about operational efficiency issues such as hardware and software installation, configuration, patching, backups. Of course, there's always performance and availability issues as well. And then there's things such as scalability and capacity planning and scaling your clusters for compute and storage. And of course, there's security and compliance issues. Things such as network isolation, encryption, compliance programs such as PCI or HIPAA, FedRAMP, ISO, and SOC. And customers want to spend time innovating and building new applications, not managing infrastructure. So this is where fully managed services on AWS come. For these managed database services, you don't need to worry about administration tasks, such as your server provisioning, patching, setup, configuration backups, or recovery. AWS continuously monitors their clusters to keep your workloads up and running with self-healing storage and automated scaling, so you can focus on higher value application development. You can spend your time on tasks such as schema design, query construction, and optimization, and let AWS take care of the important but mundane operational tasks on your behalf. Another advantage of managed services is you no longer have to over-provision your infrastructure to accommodate application growth, or in some cases, maybe under-provision. And you also have these intermittent spikes and performance requirements that incur fixed capital costs. There's no more wasting money on licensing and support, hardware refreshes, and resources to maintain that hardware. AWS does all that for you, so you can spend time innovating and building new applications, not managing infrastructure. I love this IDC report that came out in March of 2020, where they assessed the business value of Amazon RDS, and they found that by moving to this managed database platform, businesses would lower their 3-year cost of database operations by an average of 39%. They'd achieve a 3-year ROI of 264%. And for the companies that were surveyed and they worked with, these companies realized an average of $4.99 million in annual benefits, about $37,000 per database. That seems pretty compelling. In addition, they found that when customers used AWS Managed Database Services, specifically RDS, DBA teams were 37% more efficient and app dev teams were 42% more productive. Databases were deployed 86% faster with 97% less unplanned downtime. And they achieved a 70% efficiency improvement in patching and upgrading databases. And really, overall, as an overarching savings, it was 32% lower cost to run all these databases. If you want to read the full report, you can download a copy for yourself by going to the link at the bottom of the slide. As you can see, IDC found that there are many advantages to moving to managed databases. But beyond all these stats and numbers, I think the next quote really summarizes it really well for me. Brian Hostetter, Director of Data at DHI, said, "Managing databases is a Christmas load of crud I don't like to do." You know, it's pretty clear how Brian felt about all the administrative burdens that came along with managing their own databases. I'm sure many of you can relate to this feeling. And he was quite happy after they moved their self-managed Oracle databases into fully managed database services. This included their marquee application, Dice.com, which of course, many people use in terms of their job finding and job researching capabilities. So for another great story is at Airbnb. Here's a nice example of a customer who's all in on AWS and benefiting from managed databases. Airbnb moved away from managing their own databases to fully managed AWS databases, which included Aurora, DynamoDB, and Elasticache. Nathan Bacharczyk, their CTO, had this to say about their experience. Initially, the appeal of AWS was the ease of managing and customizing the stack. It was great to be able to ramp up more servers without having to contact anyone and without having minimum usage commitments. AWS is the easy answer for any internet business that wants to scale to the next level. I love that quote. So let's dive a bit into what the fully managed database services are. And we've talked about the benefits. Let's see what we actually offer. So AWS offers the broadest set of databases and analytics services for customers to move these kinds of workloads to the cloud. And customers are doing this really at a record level across many different areas. You see, of course, relational databases. Customers are moving self-managed Oracle, SQL Server, MySQL, Postgres, and MariaDB into RDS and Aurora. And then there's also a suite of non-relational databases. Customers are moving document and key value stores such as MongoDB, Cassandra, Redis, and Memcached to services such as DynamoDB, DocumentDB, Elasticache, and Keyspaces, which is a managed Cassandra service. And we also have managed analytics services, which are outside the scope of our presentation here, but I did want to make sure you're aware of them. Things such as Hadoop and Spark, operational analytics ones such as ELK, and the real-time analytics, Apache Kafka. So when it comes to fully managed database services, for anyone who's struggling to maintain their own databases at scale or just want to get rid of the headache of self-managing databases, the most straightforward solution is move to manage. This is true whether you have relational databases or non-relational ones. By moving to manage, you are able to reduce your administrative burden, achieve better performance, availability, and scalability, and you have world-class AWS security built right into the platform. For us at AWS, security is job zero. Everything's fundamentally made secure. And one of the best things about moving to manage is it's simple. You can migrate your databases without needing to re-architect your existing applications. So let's dive a bit deeper into the various managed database offerings. We'll start with fully managed relational databases. These are ideal for customers who are self-managing, either on-prem or EC2 or anywhere else. And you want to reduce that database administrative burden and reallocate your DBA resources to more application-centric work, right? And of course, you don't want to re-architect your application. You want to continue leveraging the same database skill sets that you have now. And so if you want a simple path to manage services in the cloud for your database workloads, this is a great option. And so you can move your Oracle, your SQL Server, your MySQL, your Postgres, and MariaDB to Amazon RDS, which is fully managed relational database. Or if you're looking for better performance and availability, you can move your MySQL and Postgres into Amazon Aurora, where you get 3 to 5 times better throughput. Now let's take a closer look at these two options. When it comes to RDS, it's a fully managed database service that improves your database scale and performance and really automates a whole host of time-consuming administrative tasks, such as hardware provisioning, database setup, high availability with multi-AZ replication, and of course, patching and backups. And a common use case we see these days is customers that are running Oracle and SQL Server, these traditional commercial databases. They're doing it on-prem, and they often choose to migrate to Amazon RDS first. And then from there, they can look at replatforming to an open source database such as Aurora Postgres or MySQL. And that brings me now to Aurora. Amazon Aurora is a MySQL and Postgres compatible relational database built for the cloud that combines the performance and availability of enterprise databases with the simplicity and cost effectiveness of open source databases. Aurora is up to 5 times faster than standard MySQL and 3 times faster than standard Postgres. And what's really nice is that it provides the security, availability, and reliability of commercial databases at 1/10 the cost. Also, Aurora is built on the RDS control plane, which automates all the time-consuming tasks that I just talked about in the previous slide. Amazon Aurora features a distributed, fault-tolerant, and self-healing storage system that auto-scales up to 128 terabytes per database instance. And it delivers high performance and availability with up to 15 low-latency read replicas. It provides point-in-time recovery with continuous backup to Amazon S3 and replication across 3 availability zones by default. So Aurora is the fastest growing service in AWS history, and it's being used by over 3/4 of our top 100 customers. Now let's talk about moving to manage non-relational databases. Customers use non-relational databases like MongoDB for content management and Redis for real-time use cases and caching, of course, Cassandra. You can move each of those to a managed database service to get all the benefits I've been talking about. Mongo can move to Amazon DocumentDB, Redis and Memcached can move to Amazon Elasticache, and Cassandra can be moved to Keyspaces. Now let's talk about each one of these a little more in depth. So when it comes to Amazon DocumentDB with MongoDB compatibility, it's a fast and scalable and highly available and fully managed document database that supports all your MongoDB workloads. It was designed from the ground up to give you the performance, scalability, and availability you need when operating mission-critical MongoDB at scale. You can see from the slide that DocumentDB can handle millions of requests per second with millisecond latency. It also offers twice the throughput of managed MongoDB services. And you can use the exact same code drivers and tools that you're using now. What's also nice is you can use AWS DMS to easily migrate your self-managed MongoDB databases from on-prem or EC2 with virtually no downtime. Amazon Keyspaces is an exciting service that provides you with managed Apache Cassandra, which is a scalable, performant, and highly available service. Keyspaces is compatible with the open source Cassandra API 3.11, which allows customers to use the same Cassandra application code, Apache 2.0 licensed drivers, and tools that you use today. It's also serverless, which means that you no longer have to provision, configure, and operate large Cassandra clusters or add and remove nodes manually and rebalance partitions as database traffic scales up and down. Now that's pretty nice. And Keyspaces offers single-digit millisecond performance at any scale and can scale tables up and down automatically based on actual application traffic with virtually unlimited throughput and storage. There's no limit on the size of the table or the number of items. It offers both provisioned and on-demand capacity nodes so you can optimize costs by specifying capacity per workload or pay for only the resources your application uses. Last but not least, let's talk about Amazon Elasticache. Elasticache makes it easy to deploy, operate, and scale an in-memory data store and cache in the cloud. It improves the performance of web applications by allowing you to retrieve information from fast managed in-memory data stores instead of having to rely entirely on slower disk-based databases. Elasticache supports two very popular open source in-memory engines, both Redis and Memcached. It is fully compatible with both and offers microsecond response times. You can get all the benefits of either Redis or Memcached while we manage all the hardware, setup, configuration, and monitoring. And what's nice is you can use the same tools and applications you have now, and there's no need for any changes. So a great example of a customer that migrated to self-managed Redis to Elasticache for Redis was Grab. Right, Grab is Southeast Asia's largest ride-hailing service with millions and millions of people who've downloaded the app, tens of millions actually. And their challenge was that their average response time of the API layer needs to be under 40 milliseconds, but it needed to scale. So instead of self-managing it, they decided to go into managed Elasticache for Redis as a caching layer, as well as Amazon RDS for MySQL. And the result is that they have sub-millisecond latency, even at peak traffic times, with hundreds of thousands of CAB requests per minute. And so that's a great success story. Now, when it comes to migrating, to help customers move their managed databases into the cloud, whether it's relational or non-relational, we've built the AWS Database Migration Service. We call it DMS for short. DMS makes it easier for you to move your relational, non-relational, all types of databases that I've just mentioned to these fully managed database services. And beyond just migrating data, DMS also offers data replication. So you can do zero downtime or near zero downtime migrations. It's a great service, and we can tell because over 300,000 databases have now been migrated into the cloud via DMS. And the pace of migrations just continues to grow rapidly, by the day. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Richie Jones to talk about their move to managed success story at Dun & Bradstreet. Take away, Richie.
Thanks, Rich, for that great introduction and fantastic overview of AWS Managed Database Solutions. My name is Richie Jones and I work for Dun & Bradstreet, and I'm here to talk to you today about our journey into AWS Managed Solutions. Some of you may not have heard of Dun & Bradstreet, but we provide commercial data analytics and business insight on global companies serving a global customer base. What we do is we help our customers to grow revenue, increase margins, mitigate risk, and retain compliance. So, why are we migrating to AWS Managed Databases Services? In a very high level, we're bringing the advantages of the cloud to both D&B and our customers, and allow D&B to focus on our core competencies. If you remember back to the slides earlier on, Rich talked about all the things that AWS Managed Databases Services could do. We want to take advantage of that, so we're doing what we can do best, which is actually produce data and allowing Amazon to manage the rest of the solution for us. This is really important to us for our customers as we look to provide an improved service to them. So we're looking to improve performance, resiliency, scalability, and also business continuity. We want to be there, always on, always available, and able to scale to all of our customers' needs. Internally to Dun & Bradstreet, we're also looking to improve our service as well internally. So we're looking to provide a flexible and customizable solution to allow us to build solutions on top of. And also we are looking to be able to maximize cost savings where possible. And Amazon Relational Database Services has allowed us to do this. I would definitely describe our journey to the cloud as being one where we've learned a huge number of lessons. And I want to give you an overview of some of those lessons that we've actually learned. Develop a process. I'll talk a bit more about this in the next slide. But it's definitely important to have a process by which you're actually migrating. We have a wash, rinse, and repeat solution that we go through each time we're migrating a database to make sure it's successful with as minimal effort as possible. Testing. We focus a lot on testing, and not just the usual regression testing. There is additional testing to make sure that not only are the functional components of the application working, but also the non-functional components of the application are working. So making sure that the disaster recovery works the way it expects to work, to scalability works, so that you can be provisioned correctly to make sure you can meet your customer demand. And last but not least, a huge amount of communication is what we've learned. This is a journey. As we said, we've taken our customers and ourselves on a journey from being a fully on-prem managed solution to being a cloud-hosted managed solution using AWS. So you want to communicate to all your stakeholders what's actually going on, why you're doing this, and some of the improvements they're likely to see. So a little bit about our process. At the start, we always kick off with a discovery. So making sure we understand what application, what database we're actually migrating to understand it. Understand the dependencies, so to make sure that when it's in the cloud, we can still update it, we can still manage the database, and make sure that the application can continue to talk to its database as we expect. Over time, some of these solutions will have been built and will have been amended and will have been improved or disimproved, but we want to make sure that we keep all that functionality working the same way as it is. We architect the solution, so working not only with our own internal teams of DBAs, but also working with Amazon to make sure that we understand what's the best solution for us as we go forward with this. We also then plan and execute. So creating a plan of how the actual migration is going to work, how the cutover is going to work, and how we make sure that we keep going once we're in the cloud. Once this is done, we actually repeat. So we're going through a process of actually cycling all of our databases from their on-prem solution all the way up to a managed solution. We're doing this bit by bit, as I said, a journey to make sure that we can continue to deliver the service that our customers have known and expect from us. Thanks for your time today, and I'm going to hand back over to Rich to wrap up and talk about some next steps.
Thanks for that great story, Richie. I love to hear these stories of customers who are succeeding and growing with AWS managed databases. So how do you get started? We have some tips to help you be able to get started on your move to managed journey. And the first is to learn more about AWS database services at aws.amazon.com/products/databases. There's a wealth of information there that can give you a lot of details about how to start your journey and tools that you can leverage to be able to make it as seamless as possible. We also recommend that you engage with your AWS account team. They are here to help. And because we're customer obsessed, we're happy to do whatever we need to do to support that effort as you begin and progress on this journey. We can also invite you to participate in workshops, immersion days, or data labs. There's a variety of different things that we provide to help you get started in that journey and make it as seamless and successful as possible. And finally, you may want to consider getting support from ProServe or an AWS partner for your database migration. We found that when you engage those who have done this before and have experience, you definitely increase the success rate and reduce the amount of time it takes to either do a POC or do the actual migration. Now, I want to thank you for being part of this session, but I also want to make you aware that there's some other sessions that you may find helpful. And they are here. There's Beyond AWS DMS, programs and partners to ace your migration, which I just referred to a little bit earlier. There's also Break Free from Legacy Commercial Databases to save, grow, and innovate. We see lots and lots of customers migrating off of commercial databases onto open source ones and improving both their cost effectiveness as well as their agility. And then finally, diving deep into AWS Schema Conversion Tool, AWS DMS. If you'd like to find out more about those tools. So I want to really thank you for your time today. It's been a pleasure being able to talk to you about how to use managed databases on AWS to improve your ROI and availability and scalability and just success in general. I do want to encourage you to fill out the survey at the end. We really do take that data very, very seriously, and it helps advise us to make our future sessions even better. Have a great rest of your day.